right, I called to order the January 2021 Académie Lafayette Board of Directors meeting. Happy New Year, everyone. Hopefully everybody had a happy and safe holiday. Everybody's had a chance to look at the agenda, I hope. First item is to approve the agenda. I don't believe there were any changes, but if there weren't, then I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as it was presented.
Tanya sent a change in. Just acknowledging.
That's to the minutes, not the agenda.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're correct.
Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved. Marvin, so moved.
Got a motion. Is there a second?
Second. Kelly seconds it.
All right, motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, all right, motion carries. Did anybody sign up for stakeholder comments, Carlos?
Oh, and then mute. No.
Okay. And then, all right, next item is the approval of December meeting minutes. I know that Beth and I have sent some comments or some notes to reflect that we had a roll call vote for every single vote. If we could make sure that change gets made. And then I know—
John, please, are you hearing two things? I'm hearing two voices.
All right, next. I don't hear it because you're on mute. So just leave yourself on mute. And it's fine. We'll keep going as long as you're on mute. Yeah, I think, and Tanya wanted the minutes to reflect that she was not present at the meeting. So unless there's any other comments or changes, I'll entertain a motion to approve the December minutes as amended.
So moved, Marvin.
Second. Kelly second. Oh, go ahead.
I think Harriet beat you. So motion, Marvin moved, Harriet second. Is there any other discussion, comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, PTO report. Did you said Alonda's not here? Is someone going to give the PTO report in her stead?
I'm not aware that they are. I think she couldn't find anybody to do it here at the last minute, but she said she wasn't going to be on the call.
All right, Mr. Bang, hopefully you're ready. Head of school report is—
No, I'm hearing two voices, number one. Number two, can you check whether we are live on YouTube? Is somebody checking it?
Yeah.
We are live on YouTube. All you have to do is mute either your computer that's giving you the voice for YouTube or the sound of what's playing from YouTube.
Okay, you can hear me, I guess. So we're going to start with the report. Katie Wilson is the IB coordinator. You can hear me?
Giving you the voice for YouTube.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Just unmuting my computer, which means that if you ask me a question, I may not hear you. So Katie Wilson is the IB coordinator. She will be presenting the report. Let's start by Katie. Go ahead.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm the IB coordinator for both the middle years program and also for the diploma program as we seek authorization. As you know, that authorization would start with our 9th graders as they become 11th graders. So that year would be August of 2022. So just to give you an update on how that authorization process is going, it's going very well because we've done all the hard work really with the getting authorized to teach, to have the MYP program. So where we are right now, we are preparing for our school visit, which is usually the initial, after we apply to be a part of the program, schools undergo a visit from the International Baccalaureate. And in normal times, that would have happened in October or November at the latest. They allowed us to push it back to January and have also allowed us to do it via Zoom. So it will start next week via Zoom. And then following that initial visit, I will work with the consultant to submit help him submit a report on how we're doing in the authorization process. And so I'm working to provide for him the documentation that's necessary. And, he and I are in constant communication about matters that need to be addressed before he submits the report. And then, so coming up, we have so for our virtual visit, these are the people who our consultant, Dan Warwick, will be interviewing in 20 to 30-minute interviews. So this is all scheduled and will be completed by the 26th. So that part will all be done in January. And moving on to the next slide. Yeah, so currently what we're working on, whoops, if you could go back one real quick. Yeah, so if currently these are the tasks. We have the virtual visit that's going to be completed here shortly. The high school planning committee and I are working on number 2 and 3 right now and solidifying the courses that we're going to be teaching. So we're really having to look not just what we're going to teach next year, but what we plan to teach all 4 years. And they want to see that bell schedule. They want to see how we're possibly going to work all of this in, making sure that our students get the right amount of hours for each of the courses that we're offering. And they want to see that all the other program features of the diploma program, that we have a place for them in our schedule and that we're dedicated to making sure those things happen. And then following, also working currently on getting a training schedule put together for all the teachers who we envision teaching 11th and 12th grade courses. So part of our authorization process requires that those teachers, every single one of them is trained and that they have, that they're trained and have their courses outlined, ready to go before we become authorized. So, so that's kind of that's a lot of work on the part of teachers. Then we also, one thing that is kind of unique to the IB program, and I know this is one thing they've worked on in the middle years program, is collaboration plan time for teachers. That's one thing that we really have to show dedication to. And so that's one of the big tasks for the next couple months. And then updating all of our policies that we have in place, making sure that they also are appropriate for a high school. Not just, we have some great policies in place for the middle school. Now we need to make sure they're appropriate for the high school. And then lastly, just the training schedule, as I was mentioning, teachers even though this wouldn't be for teaching next year, our diploma program teachers need to have that training. Like we have to start it this summer and finish it this fall so that they have everything they need to start building their courses and their curriculum. All of that has to be in place before we will become authorized. So just if you go back to that timeline, I think it was one of the first slides, or I can just review it real quick. So one of the things I didn't mention is this time next year, we will be having our verification visit. And that will be the last time that the IB comes to visit our school before they decide whether or not we will be authorized or not. This is also going to be at the same time or around the same time that another group of IB employees will be coming and evaluating our NYP program and checking to see how well we've implemented that. And at that point, they'll be looking at it 6 through 10. So there's still, eyeballs are going to be all over our program this time next year. So Armor's going to be very busy next spring, as if we aren't already. But and then all of this, we will find out. We're supposed to get authorization in the spring of 2022 so that we can start the program in August of 2022. And that's it.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Anybody have any questions before we move on? Well, I guess not. I guess we're all experts in IB.
Oh yeah.
All right, Mr. Mbang, it's back to you. Hopefully you figured
I always try to find a way to go around this issue. So I'm connecting in two computers. One is muted, one is, you're going to listen to me from my other one because I could not wasn't able to fix the one I'm presenting with. So hopefully you're hearing me. The COVID-19 reentry, as you know, we have a committee that meets every other week. Today was the first time we're meeting. For this year. So I just want again thank the committee for taking the time to be there and then look at the different aspects of our criteria and then discuss recommendation for what we need to do next. I just need to remind you that when we closed the school, we decided that middle school, high school, no matter what, is coming back. He was supposed to be online until January 15, which is Friday. And then next week, January 19th, Tuesday, January 19th, they'll be back in person as usual. At this point, we're doing the pool testing. I think I told the board already. I'm just reminding you that we're doing pool testing for all our high school staff and teachers on Thursday every week to be able to make sure that we are taking all the measures to protect everyone. So far, high school, we did not have any case since we opened. When I say case, is transmission in school. We had 2 teachers who were infected, but it has nothing to do with the school so far. So we did not have any in-school transmission of COVID or cases. Now, what did we discuss? Today, we discussed the gating criteria. When we look at it, of course, the numbers are still high in Kansas City, according to Mark. Even though there is a trend of this decreasing, it does not mean a lot because from what the nurses say, there's still some issues with the testing and number reporting. Again, even though there's some trend. But this is not only one thing we looked at. I think we have been very strategic and smart to put together this kind of reopening criteria for criteria to look at. The school district who did not do it, they're not following anyway the gating criteria. Because again, one of the issue or one of the topics that's absolutely important to look at is what does the research say about reopening school during COVID time? We work with, we're lucky also to have parents who are healthcare professional on our committee that share with us data, research, and as they arrive. So we look at latest data shared with us between December 15 and today. What we can see is transmissions in school, transmission, if we follow the mitigating measures, are very rare, are very, not respectable, are very rare. So again, the second one is the importance of bringing kids back to school. And also, we also look at Kansas State Board of Education recommendation to bring all K-5 students back in school. So again, we looked at least 5 or 6 studies shared with us, and generally there is almost a consensus that transmissions in schools, transmission is rare if we follow the mitigating measures we put in place. And we also look at the data about, reopened public schools in the Kansas City metro area. Almost all traditional school districts are open or plan to open by the 19th, except for 4 school districts. I'm talking about school districts around us, Kansas, and in Missouri. And most charter schools are closed in Kansas City. There are around 4 who are still open. And most schools district open, school district managed to stay open, at least for the K-5. So which means that all those, I would say, all the many school districts around us in Kansas and in Missouri managed to stay open. A couple of them went back virtual until the break. It is Lee Summit and Park Hill, and both of them are planning to come back on the 19th. or 16 for Middle East Summit, for at least K6. We also look at the specificity of our program. We think that it's really hard for parents and for teachers to teach immersion in online, especially for lower grades. However, we also consider the staffing challenges we have. Just to let you know, I think I already told you, we have 2 teachers who did not come back after the winter break. After the winter break, they're all in France. One decided to leave. The other one is stuck there because of the visa. The U.S. authority issued a ban on visas, and unfortunately, the teacher went to France and cannot get a visa back here. So not only we have that issue, but we also have issue of finding French-speaking substitute. Those are the things that we look at. However,
Well, wait, go back. How many teachers left and we don't have back? I'm sorry.
2 teachers, one in elementary, one in middle school.
And elementary, what grade?
It's in kindergarten.
Great. Okay. And elementary and in middle school, what?
In 6th grade.
Okay.
I'm trying to be careful about giving specificity. The reason is, it's not about our school, it's about other consideration. That's why I didn't give exactly what grade level.
Okay.
Okay. So that's one of the issue we face really. And not only that, but also when teachers are quarantined, it's really hard to find substitute teachers for that. So, however, we discuss possibility of opening different grades, staggering opening, and then looking at what challenges we have if we open those grade levels between either K3, K5, K9, and then look at all the aspects of it. However, there is one thing we need to look at tomorrow is the parents' choice for the 2nd semester, because it will also determine the staffing we have and what kind of a reopening we have to do, because we know that more and more parents opted to be in person, especially in lower grades. So which means that we may be having issue if we opted to be in person for the whole classroom, having an issue with the number of kids in a classroom. Knowing that we cannot increase the number of teachers, we cannot hire any more teachers anyway. So it is one of the challenges that we need to address. In any case, there have been a recommendation that if we decide to reopen, we need to give enough time for teachers and parents to be ready to get the schedules and get ready to be back. But also we need to make sure that the bus company is ready, because the bus company will require some time to come back, especially if we open more grade level than we had before. So those are the challenges I just talked about. We have been developing, working on a plan to support adequately at-risk students academically or socio-emotionally. Part of the support is we have different aspects of the support, online support. If we come back, looking into the possibility for those kids to come 4 days a week as opposed to 2 days a week, and then what kind of socio-emotional support we can bring there. Last but not least is about the staffing. We've renewed our EFMLA, therefore more teachers may use it, which means that we may also have the same thing that we had before, the staffing challenges. Any question about the reopening part?
Yeah, so just to clarify, I don't know, Beth, you were on the call. I don't know how much details we want to get into about the reopening committee meeting, but I just want to, I know we didn't really make a decision, but there was a lot of good discussion about reopening and the process and just logistics and there's practical issues we would have to deal with in the event we were to open. Do you want to give some details about timing and just kind of a general guess on, I think Michelle was on the call too, a general guess of what the timing is or would be and what people can expect? Because I know that's a big deal, and I know people are probably tuning in just specifically to hear about what our plans are. And so I know that you said initially we were thinking about the 19th, which is like next week. But just can you give an idea of what we're thinking and what kind of communications will go out to the community?
Okay, one process I just need to clarify is we had the committee gave us a lot of ideas about opening. So which means that there is, I would say in general, there is a tendency to reopen the school. So tomorrow, a smaller group will meet to finalize the decision, and the smaller group is composed of board members and principals to finalize it and finalize the strategy for communication. In any case, reopening will not happen before January the 25th, means the 2 weeks between the decision and getting in touch with the transportation, because again, it may involve more grade level opened as what we had before, which means that these guys will have to hire and then get ready, and they'll need at least 2 weeks to do that. So, and we also talk about staggering opening. Some grade level may come back at a certain date, and then a week later, some other grade level will be back. So again, the discussion came about, was around possibility of opening, again, as I say, from K to 8th grade, or from K to 6th grade, or from K to 5th grade, at least K to 5th grade. So that's what the discussion was around. John, if you think that I haven't said enough, you can also.
No, I think I just wanted to make sure we were clear, because you gave a lot of information in your report. I just wanted to kind of distill it down and kind of what we were thinking about. I think you summed it up pretty nicely just then, is that, we're thinking about multiple scenarios of reopening, whether that's a staggered opening or all for the entire school, or just certain grades, and some certain grades stay hybrid or stay at home. And that we'll hopefully have a decision by the next couple of weeks or something. With opening to be, in a couple, what do you say, the 29th or February 1st or something? I don't know. I don't know if Beth or Michelle want to chime in about the dates, but I really just want to make sure people have kind of an expectation of when to expect some communication, and then when to kind of get ready for opening if we do decide to open.
The communication will go out tomorrow.
Okay.
No later than tomorrow no later than tomorrow at 6 o'clock. By the time we meet, finalize all the things, the communication, what kind of logistic, what kind of things, and then send it to the parents at 6 o'clock tomorrow, so that they know exactly what kind of decision, when to expect the opening, and then which grade level, and what format, hybrid or in person or not.
Okay.
And the only other thing that I would reiterate, and one, I think I say this in each board meeting, but I am really impressed with the thoughtful way the task force approaches the conversation from all aspects, from student mental health and academic needs to teachers' mental health and their stress level and ability to sort of manage in a hybrid environment. So I continue to be really impressed with the committee. And I would just reiterate, since I know you sort of said January 25th, what you said about January 25th is the decision will be made tomorrow. The earliest possible date could be January 25th. So January 19th is no longer on the table, because you want at least a 2-week window to communicate everything, to get the buses ready. But that would be the earliest possible date. That is not sort of in stone.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. Sometimes with communication, you leave something and people fill in the void, and And that's the problem. Again, you're right. I understand that parents like to compare with other schools, but again, I think that the way Académie Lafayette has been handling these things is just amazing. I'm talking about the decision-making process. The fact that teachers, social workers, nurses, everyone, 27 people, parents are on the around the table to have a discussion doesn't happen somewhere else. Somewhere else, it's just parents may not have the kind of say. Again, thank you for that. Board members also were there. 3 board members, of course. I think it is a very good approach to get all the stakeholders around the table and discussing the issue of our school and reopening. And everybody was there for what is best for our school. Again, and we tomorrow we'll send it. We'll have a meeting and send the decision, what date and what format and so on.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions from the board for Mr. Bang on this? All right. Moving next item.
The academic report part is okay. We are starting the hiring process for next year, and then we contacted. You remember the 7 candidates? I told you 7 teachers we hired and were able to be here. We're contacting them. Some of them are ready to come back for 21-22 school year. So we will be assessing our needs based on the gross, because normally if nobody leaves the school, we will have at least to hire K5 or K8. I'll say 5 new teachers, even if nobody leaves every year. Now, there are certain things that we need to hire, replacing whoever is leaving, and then the high school growing, hiring. We also need to hire a vice principal for Cherry. Last year, we put it on our budget, remember that, but because of the budget cut, we had to scale down and did not hire the vice principal for Cherry. Next year, Cherry will be more than 400 students, and so we'll have to hire that. We start the process this week. We will start the process this week. This year we functioned by semester. Previous years we functioned by in trimesters. The year we divided into 3 trimesters. This year we divided into 2 semesters because of a lot of challenges to work that way. So we are working. We're already working on next school year calendar. The Conseil d'école met in December for the first meeting. I would say that this year we were kind of a little bit late or delayed. We were not able to put together the Conseil d'école and meet our first meeting in October or November. So we discussed the very early draft of the 21-22 calendar. We will meet again sometime in January, I think in a couple of weeks. And then the board will receive the agreed upon calendar for next school year, so that during the February board meeting, the board will approve it and move forward. So another item we discussed is the parent-elect board member. We already started the timeline and building the timeline, requesting candidates in end of February, early March, and then starting the interview in after the spring break, and then the elections in April, so that the board may sit the newly elected parent in July, but also in June, that whoever is elected will start the process of getting the background check and so on. So we started again on the 5th online teaching. On January the 4th, we continue our training of our teachers on culturally relevant teaching. We think that it is important to integrate that diversity, the theme of educating diverse learners, that is in our strategic plan. We had the training with Hardy Hopkins. We have been working with Adi for the last year or so. And this year we'll be focusing on, again, culturally relevant teaching. It is already integrated into our teachers' how to say, evaluation document. I see that Beth was talking about contract or something like that. It's already on the teacher evaluation document. You can look at it and see whether or not something is missing for that. This is how we address it. So one of the things we discussed, if you look at it on the left side, the first column is knowing our students, devising a survey and tools to see how each teacher can know who is in their classroom. I'm not just talking about ethnicity, gender, and economic, socioeconomic, but also interests and culture and so on. And then we need to integrate, redo our learning progressions, our yearly learning progression, and then trimester learning progressions to integrate the culturally relevant teaching. We will be auditing our instructional resources. Instructional resources meaning in the classroom, literature, how do we integrate the diversity of our students, so in social study and different subjects. We also will be working on the classroom environment, how inclusive is the classroom environment. We will be also auditing our library resources and see what is missing and how to integrate that. Integrating also culturally relevant teaching in the lesson plan and also school event. So this is how we developed how to educate diverse learners, different culturally relevant teaching. We have how to accommodate disability and English language learners. How do we accommodate advanced learners? Because sometimes we also, all the time we talked about supporting struggling learners, but the school is doing a great job also is serving advanced learners. If you look at our test scores, by the way, we may be one of the rare school districts where the percentage of advanced kids is much more than the proficient kids in all subjects. If you look at it, our percentage of advanced kids is higher than the proficient kids, which means again that our program is very rigorous. So we will continue to serve those advanced kids, but also put in place how to help all those struggling kids, at-risk kids. Is something that we have been doing. We have a program, Title I, to deal with that. All these things, accommodation, we have program, federal program for that, special education, ELL students, and Title I. But we don't have a gifted program at all. But the good thing is our program is extremely rigorous and will be able to serve those kids who advance. And the behavioral part also, socio-emotional and trauma, integrating it in our teaching and learning. Any question about this? So it's not gonna be like a one-year thing. It's gonna be, again, part of our strategic plan, 2018, 2023. One thing, hopefully you understand that this year and part of last year we're going to be focusing, of course, on the culturally relevant, but we will be focusing on how to reopen our school and functioning and serving all kids. It's going to be an exceptional year, again, where certain things will have to be put on the back burner and focus on safely reopening and educating all kids and supporting them because of the COVID-19. But again, in any case, we're still working on the culturally relevant aspect of teaching and learning. Technology. Again, we bought the 389 Chromebooks to be distributed on January 15th. So I think it's fourth grade up will be one-to-one, or third grade up, one-to-one Chromebooks. And so hopefully in years to come, we will be able to do something for second grade and third grade. It should be completed by January 31st. The student information, the new student information service system, Tyler, is open and parents can access now their kids' grade, and teachers are using it and putting the grades. We trained, on January 4th, we trained the social workers, the counselors, and the building operation manager and principals how to use the data, how to pull out data and share them. One thing I saw also on Beth McCarthy's email about dashboard, we already bought the option of a dashboard for the Tyler part. So we're working with them to see what do we need to be able to be accessible for the school leadership to be able to pull out those things quickly and know what kind of a dashboard, what kind of information is all the time available. So the IT department is still supporting teachers. One other aspect that we're thinking about recruiting or having, there's one aspect of all this that has grown so much with online teaching is instructional coach. Instructional technology coach for our teachers. At this point, we have here and there teachers doing it, but also at the same time, somebody helping with all this low key technology to support our teachers and our system. So something we have been discussing is it's going to be part-time one this year or next year. That's something that probably I'll give you more detail in February. But so far, the way we have been handling it cannot continue anymore. We used to pay stipend for somebody to do all the things, intranet we have, Facebook, forums, and supporting teachers. At this point, with our reality and our future reality, we need to have somebody to support teachers for instructional technology coach and supporting them and training them, continuing to train them. Okay, I think I'm done for my part. Before we move to the next one, admissions and outreach, do you have any question, concern, ideas for me?
I don't think so. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Robin.
Yes, I'm here. Okay, there I am. Okay, so I sent some updates. I don't think they made it into the program.
They made it. You made me work the last minute.
Oh,
you have to pay for that. I need to get a break, and then I have
no.
to do so.
Okay, so because this kind of looks just how do I say it? The narrative behind it is not there. So I added another slide to this. I'm not for sure what order it is, Mr. Bang. Is that perfect? Yes. Okay. So although these are the open seats are available right now, kindergarten has one at Cherry, first grade at Cherry is 1, Oak 5 and 5. Although it says in progress or 0, that is because they have been placed. And so this slide is for how many have withdrew in each month in those grades for K and first grade. So this is obviously something new that you guys haven't seen yet. So as you can see, the total since November, and I only did November through January just to kind of get it quickly done. I will add more next time. We had 4 in K and 6 in first grade. But enrolled number, we had 6 in K and 8 in first. So they cancel each other out, is what I was saying. So you don't think that number is just staying the same. It fluctuates and goes back and forth. Any questions? Okay, you can go to the next. So here are some upcoming events we have. The online open house will be Saturday, February 20th, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. We'll probably do that on Zoom as well. I've already sent out flyers, posted that on the website, but we will get the link for that available. I have people RSVP, so then they can get that link sent to them. We also will have upcoming an online AL lottery. Our tentative date will be February 25th. It is a Thursday. And it's 4:30 tentative. I think I've talked to at least one principal that said that is okay. It's not any conflicts, and it will be online as well through Zoom. And board members, president of the board will be invited as well, parent representatives, and I will get that list together and send out the final invite. And then that will be prior to the lottery that is made public on March 1st. And then an extra date that I have to add is there will be a pre-K fair coming up. We got the notice of that today. On February 10th, it's a Wednesday from 5 to 7 Thursday. And we have a meeting on Wednesday to go over details on that. It should be on the same platform that we used last time in November. And so I will give you details for that. And also in conjunction, because I was saying that we weren't reaching our pre-K as much for tours and such, I had sent out individual invites to all the pre-Ks that we kind of personally work with the French aspect, but also going to send it out to others, but send it out to them first to set up individual sessions with myself, with their parents. Instead, this actually takes place of our parent nights. We actually had parent nights where we would pass out information, but since due to COVID, we can't do that. So this will be instead. And then the last one is, these are the applications that we have so far. You can see the totals again, and the updated one would be for 2021, 179. And so you will see the difference of where we are. And then the next one will be our demographics.
Wait a minute, I've got 3 here. I got a purple, a blue, and a blue.
Yes, this is in comparison for the 3 years that we've been with the app.
Oh, okay, I'm seeing it, okay.
Is this, quick question, is this for the prior years, 18, 19, and 19, 20, is that the entire year, or is that as of January?
As
Okay.
of.
So it's all apples to apples. Okay.
I had it listed by weeks, but it took up too much, so I just did it by month. But it's current, up to
Oh, I
date.
see it right there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the weeks were it was hard to do. I was really about to send it back to you.
Okay, when's our cutoff date?
The cutoff date is February 22nd.
So we still have another month.
Correct.
All right.
We're having a lottery on the 25th, and then the public one will be March 1st.
One thing I would like to let you know also is this set of applications is almost all the charter schools are seeing the same thing.
Yes.
I was approached by another charter school leader who was trying to know how we're doing and telling me that it's the same everywhere. So
that was going to be my question, is if we are unique or if it's across the board. And I'm not surprised to hear, knowing that in this environment, most charter schools have had to stay fully remote, and for kindergarten parents, that's concerning. It's concerning to us. It's concerning to parents. So I'm not surprised that our charter schools are seeing lower numbers.
Still, if you compare 18, 19, and this year, it's kind of very, very close. So, but hopefully it may change. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't go the other way. And so these are our demographics for our current applications by grade, and then at the end is the total amount. So those are the numbers. Let me know if you have any questions. Great. Oh, one more thing.
Robin, is that aligned with what we've seen the past couple of years?
I will say, let me not answer that because I didn't break it down as much previous years.
Okay.
It was, my dates were literally by February. By March, and then by August. Like that was my breakdown. So
Okay.
Yeah, I think that there is a pattern we should generally see that as we approach the date, our numbers will be more diverse in general.
that is true. So I'll have some comparison for you definitely in February, because I'll have full January to go by. And then, sorry, one more thing was the siblings applications. And you can see those numbers as well. And then also returning 9th grade, we have 16. So those are the 8th graders currently. They have signed their intent to return for 9th grade.
Great, Robin. Are you ready for finance? Okay. The items we're going to go over, like we always do every month, is our accounts payable, our bills for December. The enrollment summary, we're not going to do this month because I didn't have any changes for November and December based upon the previous presentation. Our DESI payments, and then our forecast, year-end cash, and some general updates. So accounts payable, next slide. So these are some of the items that were brought up during our meeting, and there were some additional expenses for the high school federal grant. There were no credit card because remember we paid that early in November. There were some questions about building expenses, and there were 3 months of our regular maintenance and repairs that were actually paid in December. So a whole quarter just got paid in December. So still on budget, but it just threw December off by itself. I'm hoping this is the last of the Chromebooks that were purchased prior to the lease. Some of them were back ordered and just show up, and so then they show up on the expenses. But I think we're about done reimbursing employees who helped us get to our urgent needs back in April and May. And then there were quite a few FSA reimbursements that were on our December. That's the employees' flexible spending accounts that they pay into, and then we reimburse them once we receive all the receipts. Okay, any questions? Anybody have any questions on accounts payable that they received? Need to approve them?
Oh, go ahead.
I move to approve December's accounts payable. Harriet.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second, Mike.
All right, motion second. Any discussion, questions, comments, or anything? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Okay, next one. So kind of the title carried over. So let's just look at the November, and I had an error on here, even though I was asked to double check, but the November pay per weighted ADA was really around $7,400. That $7,500 is what happened in December. But nevertheless, you see that our Prop C has been staying pretty steady, which is great. And this November payment looks dire, and that's because this is the month where we got our Tyler system all updated, found out the students that were leaving, etc. And we had to adjust our ADA to actual in, it was 1,139, just the average daily attendance, which was down about 21 students from July, August, September, and October. So that's why you see that big decrease in basic formula in November. Okay, next one. So December, this is correct. The payment went up per pupil to $7,541. And our ADA and weighted ADA stay the same. So once I corrected it in November, carried it through December. Looking at some students that may not come back after the break, we'll decide and make those adjustments once we get more clarity on some of that. And you'll notice, obviously, the basic formula took a jump, and that was because that increase is about $136 per pupil. And so when that happens in December, they make it up for the whole fiscal year. And interesting, the classroom trust fund still is around $34,000 per month. So that's the gaming revenues that continue to stabilize, which is awesome. And again, our Prop C is within budget. It's been over budget a couple of months, but certainly year to date looks really great. Okay, any questions on December? Okay. This is just a snapshot of what's happened on our per pupil payments. And so even though November revenue went way down for basic formula, that was because we adjusted the number of students, but it went up about 3% in dollars. And so December went up a little less than 2%. So the average is still in the $6,000 range, and hoping that just continues to go up, and we get near our budget of $8,200 per pupil. Okay, next. Again, this is a summary of our revenues through November, and then my projections and working with Mr. Bang and Westbrook. So if you see the second line there, that negative 866,000, that's one of the biggest drivers, obviously, in the negative revenue from budget. There are some other drivers in there, but that's just the largest. And if you look at the last four, like food service, other, and trip, those are way under revenue budget, but those also have associated expenses that will be way under budget also because of the number of students that are getting lunches and that kind of thing, which really slowed down. And of course, these will adjust when and if we go back in person. So not concerned that we're under budget for getting money from the state and feds for food, because again, like I said, we'll have less expense until we make a change to in-person. So those will adjust every month once we know what's going to happen. Okay, next one. So even though there are several ins and outs that are affecting the total net revenue, the biggest one, of course, almost $900,000 for basic formula. So we're under about a little over $1 million in total net revenue projected for the year. On the expense side, we have some again, I have attached a summary we can look at next just for expenses, but there are two big drivers, and that's we're under net expenses to the good, almost 500,000 salary and benefits, and I've explained that in the previous meetings, and then transportation expense, a little over 400,000. So those two biggest drivers of expenses, even though there are a lot of others that are higher or lower, those are the two biggest, and that's what helped us with our bottom line. Do you have any questions on that? Next. So here's the expense summary. As you can see, there are other line items that are not within budget. Obviously, the biggest one is $500,000 to the good on the first line, but teaching resources are over, and some admin tech services. Some of that is due, a lot of that is due to the funds that we received that we didn't budget. So a lot of that is the computer purchases, the additional $75,000 that we got from the CARES Act. And some gifts and grants where we were able to supply Chromebooks to at-risk students. So even though they're over, there was a revenue source that just wasn't budgeted. And again, that $272,000 on the Fund 40 expenses, that is the expenses that I'm paying for capital expenses that came in the prior year. So that's just one of those things where we receive the money in the prior year and have to pay it in this fiscal year, which impacts, although the revenue is there in the carryover. That makes sense. So almost exactly like it was in my presentation last month, about projecting about a negative $744,000 bottom line. And again, using carryover funds to accommodate that. Any questions? That one, okay. I think it's the next one. This just summarized what I was just saying, that, you know, we're under revenues year to date through November of a little over 700,000. In budget at this time of year, we knew we still wouldn't be at our revenue year-end budget. So the forecast, again, is about a negative $744,000, and our budget was a break even at about $3,400. So that we've talked about, and it, like I said, it's about the same as it was from last month. We'll see any changes in registration after the first of the year, after we get Tyler, if we look at any of the withdrawals and add some of those students that Robin was talking about in those lower grades. So we'll make an adjustment again next month. Okay, next, okay. So that was the unrestricted balance we talked about before, the projection of a negative 744, which leaves us a net in operating cash of a little over 2.7 million. And the budgeted expenses are about $1,200,000. And so we have about 67 days of cash on hand, which is over the requirement. Okay, next. So additional information, we're still updating attendance and verification with DESE as we decide and move kids in and out again, the type of instruction, hybrid, and those that stay online, that will affect how we take attendance. So we're really working with everybody involved to make sure that we're doing the correct things so that we have at the end of the year a good handle on the type of instruction and the number of hours per pupil. We did approve some additional building expenses for Oak windows. I know we're talking about fresh air and that kind of thing, and there were some areas in Oak and the new addition that didn't have any ability to open windows, so that's going to be resolved here in the next month. And again, just monitoring the per pupil payment changes. Hopefully that keeps going up toward our $8,200 per pupil. And got a memo, haven't gotten anything from DESE yet, but a federal memo regarding the states receiving additional funding for COVID relief. And in glancing at it, it would be the usage would mirror that of the ESS, ER, and the CARES Act funding that we used to purchase all of our COVID-related expenses and Chromebooks, etc. So if that happens, that will be great because we have exceeded the expenses in making sure that we have everything that teachers need and the buildings and that kind of thing over what we received from the CARES Act. So that will be good to be able to apply some of those and then be able to look at some of the other additional things that we need to do as we begin to open up the buildings again.
Jackie, one question is our budget gap, is that considering what we currently get for per pupil or what we hope to get to for per pupil?
What we hope to get to. So all the projections remain at $8,200. So that includes the MOU with the district, and I need to look back at that timeline. It's changed from last year, but no, that the projections are totally based on what we believe we'll get at the end of the year. If that's not correct, as we find out more information, then we'll have to make that adjustment, which then of course would be over the $744,000 we're already looking at.
But based on what we know now, we still anticipate we'll get to that amount?
That is what we anticipate. That's what we're keeping in the forecast.
And then one other question about how DESE calculates attendance in the hybrid model. Were there changes to how they did it last semester, or it is just only when students are in the building is what counts?
So those that never chose to come into the building and were actual virtual learners, their attendance is counted based upon the 2 assessments that the teachers planned for, and those students would get 94% attendance. when that student chooses to come back into the building and we open this semester, so after the semester that happens after January 15th, it's the in-seat attendance that takes over for the whole year. So if I was a virtual student from August through December and I decide that I'm coming to when the doors open, when we open safely and come back in, it's that in-person attendance that will apply to the whole school year.
Oh, so it even goes backwards. So if they were at 94% virtual, but in person they're only at 85, it goes backwards?
Yes, it's my understanding. It's not so much backwards. It's just the precedent, the way the statute's written is my understanding is that it's just one in person is how attendance would be counted for those students. And that's just it's a little confusing for everybody because we didn't keep one type of instruction for the whole year, allowing parents to make to have a choice again for January through May. Whatever choice that is, it's still the in-person attendance for those students. So it's really important, that students, when the selection is made to do in person, that they participate on those days that they've chosen in the hybrid model. And it's also important for us in our database that we have like several different calendars for students because of the changing types of instruction that families have selected for their student. Now, if someone is off for quarantine or COVID related in the family or from school side, then they continue to be counted present.
Interesting. Okay. Any other questions for the Finance Committee or for Jackie? All right, Development Committee, hopefully you guys got great news about how you're gonna cover our funding.
I don't mean to laugh so hard. All right, actually there is some good news on that. So Development Director, have the finalists for the position. I really wanna thank admin for doing these final interviews over their holiday break. Helped us narrow down. So there should be some good news announced very, very soon as we get through the very end of that process. And also just want to thank the committee, the task force that really worked on just culling through all the resumes and the initial interviews and the screening and everything. So Tim Sweeney, Tanya, and Pam Gard really did all the heavy lifting on that. So we're going to be there. So that's good. The annual fund year-end appeal went out. Same numbers that we talked about last month in terms of the number of emails deployed and then the direct mail letters that went out as follow-up to some of the same people on the email and then also to a broader group trying to get some of those mid-level donors in. I don't have numbers on it. I do have numbers. 47% of the emails were opened, which is a really good open rate, which is great. And so we'll have numbers as those come in over the next month or so that we can share. And then we also did a PR campaign. We talked last month about how we were working with the PR agency here in Kansas City that's working with Missouri Charter Association. And so then we talked to them. Tanya and I had a call with Edie there about how we can kind of explore doing some joint things in there. So there's some concepts in the works there. Next slide. So what we'll work on this month and next month is onboarding that director and then making any tweaks to the planning that we need to do. Our analysis and updates from the year-end appeal, follow-ups and thank you letters, data updates. We got a lot of data cleanup that happened from the result of this mailing that we could do in there. And then really looking at where we are. I mean, the good news is, and I said I had a little bit of good news, you know, the numbers that Jackie was just showing, we are actually trending ahead in terms of what we've received so far year to date on actual versus budget, both in gifts and grants and then the annual fund. So things are trending well, and our goal is to have a little more frequency this year in terms of different ways that people can donate and also contacting them. So we'll have more updates, like I said, on that probably, I hope by February's board meeting in terms of what numbers we're really looking at. We'll work on that PR content that we talked about that we started in December. And then we'll look at a first semester update of kind of what has been achieved. So a little marketing piece to go out to the database and the donors. We're also going to work on the next slide. Any Generations Day support is needed. Of course, Generations Day had to be postponed, and it's really looking at what's going to work best. If there's anything, you know, it would be virtual. So I know that the principals and admin are going to work on what that may be, and then the development committee is here just to help in whatever way we need to support that. And then also getting a start on the Musketeer March planning and what that's going to look like this year. It's kind of a dual purpose. It is a fundraiser, but it's also activity for the students. So we want to look at that. And then planning the spring appeal, which will be a bigger effort. It's not another letter and another email. There's a different approach and a different kind of a crossover target base. So we'll be working on that timing. And then EIP planning, we started talking about that. I know that Mr. Bang's going to be meeting with his leadership team on identifying what that fund in need is going to look at. The Edward B. Rucker Award that was given last year, again, without having the in-person events this year, we talked in our committee meeting about presenting that at EIP. EIP is going to be virtual this year, and we've got a meeting. I can't remember if we decided on this week or next week, but with the EIP committee chair to work out the details and see what kind of support they need from the school and development in that area. So a lot moving along, and hopefully on next month's call, you'll be meeting the new director.
Yes,
All right.
what we did was we checked the check the references. So we're about to make an offer. So
yay!
All right, no, that's good news, and good job, development committee. This is a good work that you guys do. All of the committee members that you named, and you, Michelle, for the very detailed and thorough report. I was just thinking while you were giving your report, I remember 6 or 7 years ago, we didn't even have a development committee. It was just Sarah Guthrie doing everything by herself. So.
All by herself. Oh, geez.
So great job, everyone.
Yeah, it's a good committee.
It's good to thank Pam and team for the interview, and also Tanya. A lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of candidates to go through, helping us shortlist and send us the 3 top candidates that we interviewed as the admin leadership team and check the reference. So again, thank you very much for doing that.
You're most welcome. And I think Tim Sweeney, we owe a lot to him. So he led the charge on that.
He did a great job.
He's amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions for the development committee? All right, I think next we have the diversity committee report. Is there, Kelly? I don't know if you guys had a chance to meet.
We did. Well, we met last. Our last meeting was, I believe, in November. So we did have a submission of, we're adding members to the diversity committee. So we have requested, if individuals are interested, to send me an email. So we've had several people do that. And so this week, the diversity committee will meet and we'll review those submissions. And then really kind of talk about what our next steps are for this year. So we have not had a chance to talk about our 2021 goals as we continue to move forward, but we will have a chance hopefully on Wednesday this week to kind of discuss it.
Okay, sounds good. Was there any questions before we move on? Questions for the diversity committee? All right, keep up the good work. That is definitely a very important committee for our school.
Absolutely.
Governance committee, Beth?
Yes, so you all will see, I emailed you a couple of draft resolutions that were recommended by Doug Thaman that you might remember hearing about in November. One is in relation to the oversight we have with attendance and doing attendance audits. It's mostly in relation to the finance committee. So Harriet, it would be great for you all to review at your next meeting to look at what's recommended in that draft resolution and see if there's any concerns that you all have. The other draft that you'll see in the email is more related to board training, making sure that there are clear requirements for training, which we have always had as a board. I think we might want to revise some of them that are currently our practices, but that's something the governance committee will look at, and we'll have a motion on those in our next committee or in our next board meeting, essentially. Any questions that people have about those? I'm sure you probably haven't had a chance to look at them yet. So.
Okay.
Okay. Oh.
No, I just said okay.
Okay, awesome. The other piece, it did come to our attention, we do need to do a specific training on child abuse. And I think that's something that is a yearly requirement for us. So I think, Jackie, I believe you have an online link to a training that I can email out to everybody, correct? Are you still there by chance?
Yes, so Alexis Cook does that as the coordinator of Safe Schools. So I sent her an email the other day, and I'll just let you two connect, and then she can add the board members on, and then it just, once it's completed, then she has a record. She can put them up as a group, so we can keep that for a record.
Perfect. So everybody will get the link to that. It would be great if everybody could complete that in the next 30 days. It is online, so you can do it at your convenience, but you'll see that by email here in the near future. So keep an eye out for that. The other piece, we will begin recruiting the parent-elect position that Mr. Mbang referenced. So we will look for that process to start in February for recruitment of that. And then the final piece, we do have numerous openings on our board, as we've talked about in previous meetings. And so we would love anybody's advice of community members that you know, particularly as it relates to finance, law, lobbying, and Jeff City connections has come up as a real need given how much that will impact our work moving forward. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as higher education since we lost Carla. So anybody that has recommendations for who you think would be a good fit, please share those with me, and the governance committee will do what we have done for numerous rounds in the past. We will collect resumes, letters of interest, and do an interview process, and then bring recommendations to the board. So email me any thoughts and ideas you have of community members that would be a good fit for that. Did I miss anything, John? Or Marvin?
I don't think so. I think that was it. I know that training, it's only about 30 minutes, so you should be able to do it online. But other than that, I think you covered everything. All right, any questions for the governance committee? All right, hearing none, we'll move on. I think the last item is the president's report. I just have a couple of legislative updates or updates from Missouri Charter Public School Association. As you know, I got an email from Doug Thaman just following up on those two resolutions that they want us to adopt. And so as Beth said, one is related to board training and the other one's for strong financial oversight. And apparently looks like several charter schools, looks like the only ones in Kansas City that have adopted those so far are Hogan Prep and University Academy. I think the other ones are in St. Louis, but that's high priority for them, I think. And that leads into the next item. And the reason why is, I guess there was someone in St. Louis who's been, advocating against charter schools and saying that, they're misappropriating funds and using one or two examples of a school doing that to paint all charter schools in that picture. And so this is just to show the public or the world that no, look, all of our charter schools are high functioning and we adopted these policies to make sure that we're financially accountable. So but that leads us to the next item, which I think would go good if we adopt that, or if all the charter schools adopt policies like that. The Missouri legislative started last week, I believe. And obviously this year is a different type of year down in Jeff City because of COVID and everything that's going on. So I think, at least from the update, I forwarded all of you guys a legislative update that I received. It was quite lengthy and not a lot of it was really applicable to us, but some of the highlights were, I know that the new Speaker of the House highlighted education reform, early childhood education, and other items based as priorities for them based on, the impact that COVID has had on schools in the state. And so hopefully that gets our, the fix the glitch language or the campaign that we've had, that kind of puts that to the front burner, at least for us. I don't know if that helps us with this, all schools kind of having financial difficulties with budgetary restraints and things like that. If that helps us or harms us, I don't know. But Doug Thaman did send sample language or communications, and I don't know if we want to do that here in the next week or month to send out to the community about the impact, just kind of reiterating the things that we've done before about the disparity in funding between public schools and charter schools, and kind of how we can fix it, and to text or to contact your legislator to get it on their front burner. So I can forward that language if you like. We can kind of tweak it a little bit to make it, on our brand, I guess, and get that out to the community.
Yeah, if we can work on that, then I'm happy to post it out to the community too, and ask parents to write letters.
Okay. Yeah, no, that would help. And like I said, there's sample language already that I think we either have or that they provided. Here, I'm going to forward the email to you, to everybody now. Although I think this is, hold on, I'm going to forward it to myself. And then you guys will have that and we can kind of go forward from there. But I think that's it. It's the only other, that's it for Jeff City or legislative updates. I did see that Missouri Charter School has sent around a COVID vaccine policy to kind of advocate for charter school employees to move, to receive priority on the vaccine. And so it looks like, sorry, it's a long message, but it looks like they just sent us sample language to, us as a school, how we can adopt a vaccination policy. I don't know if it's requiring or encouraging teachers to receive the vaccine. Because I guess we cannot, by law, mandate that teachers receive the vaccine. It should be strongly encouraged, but not required, I guess. So at any rate, that's kind of the only update I have there. Hopefully, the availability of the vaccine to our teachers will expedite us being able to open or alleviate some of the fears that our teachers have or could have, and allow us to open up sooner. So,
and that brings up another question. I'm curious if there's any coordinated effort that schools have to vaccinate teachers, or is it just they complete sort of that general Jackson County survey to get added to the list?
yeah, I don't know. I think it's just the same survey, I believe, but
it might be a question for the health professionals on the reopening task force, if there is any coordinated way that schools can do that better.
right.
So that just FYI, so our nurse sent the link to all staff, and we're just encouraging everybody to follow that link for tier 2. So coming up in February. And I think a request was made also on the potential of being a immunization site. There's probably it probably take longer to do that than this next tier that's coming up. I don't know, but I know Alexis actually inquired about that.
Okay. That's all I had. Is there anybody have any questions for me or anything? Hope everybody had a happy new year, happy holiday. I don't believe we have anything in closed session, Mr. Bang or Dana, if you're still on. Do we? Yes.
No. I'm here. I don't have anything for you.
Okay. All right. That's it then. Thank you, everyone. The meeting is adjourned.